Okay, there are quite a few things that I want to talk about in this video. One of the main things that I want to speak about is the reality that we live in. It's not just RF, radio frequency, ELF, extremely low frequency, or any number of radio waves or sound waves that people are affected by. It's also electricity. And just because there's a power line above you does not mean that that electricity stays within that power line. Just like a radio wave, the electricity will use something that it's near to charge up or electrify. It'll hop on like an antenna almost. Now, this guy has power lines going over his property. He decided to set up an experiment and see exactly what was going on. Now, he explains what he set up and how he set it up. I'm going to show that to you right now.
This is the 230 kilovolt power line that runs along the north edge of my property. And what I got set up now, I got some garden stakes and some metal stakes, and I got some coax cable, about 80 yards of coax cable stretched out. And the wire is about 4 to 4.5 feet above the ground. And what I'm going to do is connect the one end to a capacitor and the other end to the ground. I'm going to charge up that high voltage capacitor.
That is the high voltage capacitor right there, and that is his meter to show exactly what is going on with the capacitor. So let's let him finish.
It's going to go through a bridge rectifier. These are some 1,000-volt diodes. The other end is just going to go to that ground that I set up.
So basically, he is going to test how much electricity is coming off the lines in the air and electrifying the fence that is underneath. And this is really important. I have taken it and done an edit to make it as short as possible. It's only like a minute long or so. So let's check out what happens during this experiment.
Because they did say if you had an electric fence insulated from the ground, it could charge up just by itself, just from being under these power lines.
And I can attest to that, because I lived near some high voltage power lines, big ones, the kind that follow freeways, that type that you'll see going through fields or following a freeway. And you could hear them, man. You could hear the discharge, the corona discharge coming off them if you were near them. And they would electrify fences and anything underneath. Sometimes you could actually see it arc. It's pretty crazy.
I'll test again to see what we got there.
So he's got over 300 volts right now.
330 volts right now, climbing. But it is significant voltage through there.
That's a lot of voltage.
And it is, this capacitor is 88 microfarads. And this is just that wire. You know, it's 4.5 feet off the ground. It takes about, I think, 10 joules of electric to kill a guy, and this is getting up over that. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to let this go.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Almost 800 volts, but it's
800 volts is a lot.
But I don't know what's going to be.
Now he's going to discharge it, holding on to the plastic end of the screwdriver and touching both ends of the capacitor with the screwdriver. Kind of like a car battery.
Be like when I do it when it's over 900 volts. Whoa!
Now that's a lot of power to build up on something. You know, and that's a capacitor, but still, you can watch this electricity if you're near it arc to a fence. I'll show you some of the comments in a few minutes. Now, what is the importance of this? Why am I showing this to you? Because original electrical meters had filters to block out a lot of this dirty electricity. That's what it is, dirty electricity, from coming into your home. However, these new smart meters do not have these filters like they used to. So you have a lot of dirty power in your house that shouldn't be there, that was blocked out before but now exists. And they use that. They use that to monitor appliances, and they rely on that dirty electricity field now. And it's not good for you at all. And this is to show people that it's not a theory, it exists. Now, what else could you do with this? Let's say that there was something passive in your computer. Let's say it was a monitoring device. You could actually use the dirty electricity to power whatever you have in the house, or in the domicile, or in the area, or wherever, because electrical lines are everywhere in our current reality. This is just the way it is. So think about this and think about the possibilities that you can do with this dirty power. Now, a lot of people say, well, there's not enough, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. It's not true. It all depends on the technology, how much power, or what you have going on around you. Let's check out some of the comments that were left on this video, because they are pretty cool. So a lot of the old timers came out, and it was really cool to see older people leaving comments. It's just nice to see people actually having real conversations in the comment section. This guy, first comment, says, more than 50 years ago when I was just a kid, the owner of a local oil field welding and machine shop got sued in federal court for stealing electricity from 240 kilovolt power lines which passed over his property by way of using homemade induction coil mounted on a pole, which in turn was wired into his electrical system, and which had been powering his business for more than 20 years already. The court ruled that he could not be sued for taking advantage of natural physics. That's pretty cool. So with minimal equipment, you could actually test to see if this is happening in your area. All you would need is a capacitor and a couple other small things that you made at home. Really. Here's another comment. As an electrician, I was called out to a site where a crew was setting up a manufactured home under high voltage lines. The setup crew was getting shocked every time they touched the metal frame of the house. My voltmeter showed 110 volts AC from the frame to the ground. I put ground rods at each corner and wished them luck. That's pretty nuts. And then it ended with, I would hate to be living in that house. Here's another one. I knew a man who was in charge of maintaining lines like these. His crew informed him that a property owner had installed an array of wires on his property near the towers. They thought he was stealing electricity. Management said that if he was smart enough to capture the electricity that they were losing, he was entitled to it. So what this goes to show you is that it's very real and it happens all the time. You just really don't hear about it. The news isn't going to tell you about this. You're not going to hear about it from most people because most people don't know about it. I'm a fencing contractor, and I put several fences up under overhead power lines, and sometimes it will shock the piss out of you touching the fence. So think about this. Think about what can be done with this. You can power things that other people wouldn't even know were there. Here's a good comment. The power company. There is no health safety issue with overhead power lines. Same power company. Hey, you can't use the power from the air. That's our power. That's pretty much what it is. Another one. I remember back in the 70s, a farmer ran lines under power lines on his property, and the power company sued him for stealing power. The farmer won and powers part of his place with the electricity that it's lost to the atmosphere. So you have to wonder, why did they get rid of these filters, and why do we have these amounts of dirty electricity in our homes now? And I can show you test after test that I've done in various homes, and the electricity in the air, the electrical fields are intense. You just have to make sure that certain things are off, because certain aquarium equipment, there are certain things that put off a lot of EF in the air. So you have to make sure that those are off and then test your house, and you can really see what's going on. So really, you could put something in somebody's home that ran off this and they would never know it. All kinds of technology, and no one would know that it was there. People have known about this for, over 100 years. This is nothing new. Now I want to talk about what I was talking about in my last video, and I want to show you a few things that I've found since then. Pretty interesting stuff, pretty creepy. What I was talking about was DUI under the influence of radio frequency. People are getting pulled over more and more nowadays, and they're being popped for DUI. And they're not messed up. They have no drugs or alcohol in their system, but their eyelids are spasming. They have involuntary eye movement, which is called nystagmus. They have other symptoms in their eyes and with their motor skills that are causing them to get DUIs. And this is being brought on by their nervous systems being shot. Their nervous systems are shot. Now, something crazy that I found, nystagmus used to affect a very, very small number of people. And again, that's involuntary eye movement. Let's check this out real quick. The numbers are very, very small, especially when you go into the past and search. They get smaller and smaller. The cases of nystagmus and involuntary movements, nervous system problems are rising. but it's very, very hard to find the information on it. They are making it very hard to find, like, let's say, cases of nystagmus from 1977 to 2020, whatever, right? You can't find that information. If you can, post a link, because it is very hard to find the number of cases then to now. But it used to affect about 1 in 1,000 people in the general population. So let me show you something that I found that is very creepy. Here is a questionnaire that I found online recently. It came out in June of 2022, and it says the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on individuals with nystagmus, and an exploration of public assumptions about the condition, an electronic questionnaire study. Well, they're interested in it, and that makes me take pause right there. Because when they're interested in something, something is going on. Something is going on. You can mark my words. So what they did was they put out a questionnaire, and the main question was, do you or anyone you know well have nystagmus? Suddenly they're interested in this, right? Very, very interesting. The questions were posed to participants in a purpose-built branching survey. All right, now let's go to the results. 1,645 respondents were recruited, of which 849, that is 51.6%, answered yes to the initial filtering question. So 51.6 either have nystagmus or know somebody with nystagmus out of 1,645 people. That is alarming. 51.6% of people surveyed either have it or know somebody with it. That is a huge, huge red flag. There is something going on. People's nervous systems are being shot. When you have an aluminum buildup in the body, which is basically like putting rabbit ears on the human body, and then you have all this dirty power, and then you have all this Wi-Fi and ELF, EMF, and wireless signals flying around at this rate, and then you have over half of people either having it or knowing somebody with it, there is a goddamn problem. And people need to be aware of it, man. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok, but if you want to find victims, you go to TikTok, right? So I went there, and I just put in, I searched involuntary eye movement. And there is video after video after video, and most of it is younger people with nystagmus, and it's just loaded with it. It's everywhere. Overall, we're not just talking about nystagmus. We're talking about twitching, all the nervous system signs that somebody is impaired, and just signs in general that somebody's nervous system is shot. But they are everywhere, and they are growing, and they're making it so hard to find the growth in these. And they are getting very, very tricky with the wording. Now, to prove to you that this is the kind of stuff that they look for, here is a field sobriety test review. And they're looking at horizontal gaze nystagmus and different categories of nystagmus. Now, when you have this eye hopping, eye jerking, involuntary eye movement, or your eyelids are twitching and doing things, and your nervous system is shot from being around EF, ELF, RF, all this crap all the time, you are not going to be able to stand on one foot either. Your balance is going to be messed up. Your inner ears are going to be messed up. Everything is going to be messed up. You have nervous system problems now from becoming sensitized to this. Not to mention the fact that you are full of aluminum and other metals now, right? So the fact that field sobriety tests are even legal anymore, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. We are canaries in the coal mine, and this is why this is happening. This whole arresting people that are totally sober is a totally new thing that didn't happen before. So pay attention to this. Pay attention to how this develops, because it is really, really crazy. And the best way to make people aware that radio frequency and all of this ELF has an effect on the nervous system is to show all these people who are having these symptoms every day, all the time, these smaller symptoms, but very real symptoms, is showing them that it comes from this. That it's not from their diet or stress or lifestyle or the bullshit that they lay on them every day. It comes from the very real things that they are being exposed to by their toys and by their electronic lifestyle that has been thrust onto them. In this article from 1996, they talk about normal human subjects versus people with nystagmus. Normal human subjects. However, now, in a survey, 51.6% of people either have or know somebody with nystagmus. So think about this. There's a problem here. Something is going on. And to prove my point, here's a video from TikTok of a younger person with nystagmus. And this is so crazy that if they were pulled over, they would totally think that they were on meth or speed or some mind-altering, nervous system-altering drug and take them straight to jail. Check it out.
In all my comments, this is my most frequently asked question. So here's the answer you've been waiting for. It's called nystagmus. Mine is involuntary, so I can't control it. I can't see it. And
that's crazy. And, you know, they tell these people that stress brings it on, that they need to take vitamins. You know, they never, ever, ever mention that, you know, hey, that could be from dirty electricity or Wi-Fi or wireless or the numerous things that are being put into the environment.
I can't feel it. It's one of the many eye conditions that contribute
that person would go to jail, 100% go to jail. So think about that. That's it for now. Look out for Charlie.